This is a tutorial video for Chapter 1 test. On number 1, it says solve each equation. So using the distributive property, we're going to get 2x minus 2, and then negative 3x minus 12 equals 3, and then the negative is distributed, so minus 2x minus 14. On the left side, we're going to combine like terms, and that gives me negative 1x and negative 14. On the right side, we're going to get negative 2x and negative 11. Okay, I'm going to isolate the x by adding 2x to both sides. That leaves me with a positive 1x. Then I'm going to add 14 to both sides. And that's going to leave me with positive 3. So x equals 3. On part B, we need to multiply through by the common denominator so that we can clear out the denominator. If I factor x squared minus 4, I'm going to get x minus 2 times x plus 2. So that'll be my common denominator. Okay, so the x minus 2 divided by x minus 2 is 1. So I'm going to distribute the 3, and that gives me 3x plus 6. Okay, x plus 2 divided by x plus 2 is 1. So I'm going to distribute the 2 here. So that gives me 2x minus 4. And then the whole thing cancels on the bottom and the top, and that leaves me with just 16 on the right. Okay, so I'm just going to go ahead and distribute the negative here. It's going to give me 3x plus 6 minus 2x plus 4 equal to 16. 3x minus 2x is just 1x. 6 plus 4 is 10. And if we subtract the 10 on both sides, that leaves me with x equal to 6. Okay, problem number 2. The formula for the surface area of a rectangular solid is S equals 2HW plus 2LW plus 2LH, where S, H, and W and L represent surface area, height, width, and length, respectively. Solve this formula for H. So I want to get H by itself. Okay, my first step is going to be to remove anything that does not have an H. Okay, so minus 2LW on both sides. S minus 2LW equals 2HW plus 2LH. Okay, since I'm trying to get H by itself, I'm going to factor out an H as the common factor. And then I'm going to go ahead and divide by this quantity to get h by itself. So this divides out, and now I've got h by itself. So S minus 2LW divided by the quantity 2W plus 2L is equal to H. All right, on number 3, A and B, these are both quadratic equations. So we're going to choose a method that will get rid of the square. On A, if I move minus 6 over, I want to set this equal to 0. That'll give me 4x squared minus 3x plus 6 equals 0. The first thing I'm going to do is try to factor this. 4 times 6 is 24. The factors of 24 are 8 times 3, 6 times 4, 12 times 2, 24 times 1. I'm looking for a set of numbers that will either add or subtract to make -3. And 8 and 3 does not work. 6 and 4, 12 and 2, 24 and 1. None of those work, so that tells me that I cannot factor this problem. So I'm going to go ahead and use the quadratic formula. A is going to be 4, B is -3, and C is +6. In the quadratic formula, x is equal to -b, which is -3, plus or minus the square root of b squared, so -3 squared, minus 4 times a times c, divided by 2 times a. Okay, I'm going to start off with the discriminant. Okay, -3 squared is 9, and 4 times 4 times 6, that's going to be 16 times 6, which is 96. And I can see here that 9 minus 96 is going to be 87, -87. +3 plus or minus the square root of -87 divided by 8, because 2 times 4 is 8. All right, since we can't take the square root of a negative number, this negative is going to become an I, so x is equal to 3 plus or minus I square root of 87 divided by 8. Okay, I'm going to check to make sure 87 will not simplify the square root of 87. We cannot divide by 2. Let's divide by 3. 3 times 2 is 6. And that's a 9. And 29 is a prime number, so we cannot divide any further. There were no factors, so 87 will not simplify the square root of 87. So our answer, 3 plus I square root of 87 over 8, and x is equal to 3 minus I square root of 87 over 8. So that leaves us with 2 answers. Okay, on 3b, we want to get rid of the square, and so we're going to take the square root of both sides. That leaves us with 7d minus 1 equals the square root of 19. Okay, so to solve for D, we're going to take 7D equals the square root of 19 plus 1, and then we're going to divide by 7. So D is equal to the square root of 19 plus 1, all of that over 7. Okay, on number 4, perform each operation and write the result in standard form. Okay, when we're subtracting complex numbers, keep your real numbers together and your complex or your imaginary numbers together. So 6 minus 3 and negative 2i minus 8i. Actually, we're going to put the i's on the outside. Negative 2 minus 8. So 6 minus 3 is 3. And we get a negative 10i here. So the right way to write it is 3 minus 10i. Okay, on B, we have multiplication. So we're going to do the FOIL method. Negative 5 times negative 2 is positive 10. Okay, the outside terms are negative 5 times 3i, so that's negative 15i. The inside terms, 4i times negative 2 is negative 8i. And the last two terms are 4 times 3, which is 12, and I times I is I squared. Remember that I squared represents negative 1. So this is 12 times negative 1, which gives us a negative 12. So we really have minus 12 right here. Okay, let's combine these two like terms. Negative 15 minus 8 is negative 23i. And then we have 10 minus 12. So that's a negative 2. So negative 2 minus 23i would be the answer. Okay, on number 4C, we must multiply the top and the bottom by 1 minus 3i. Okay, so and then we're going to do the FOIL method. So we've got 5 times 1 is 5. That's the first term. Your outside terms give us negative 15i. Your inside terms, 5 times 1. And your last terms, 5i times negative 3i is negative 15i squared. Okay, in the denominator, the first two terms, 1 times 1 is 1. The outside terms, 1 times negative 3i. The inside terms, 3i times 1 is positive 3i. And the last two terms, 3i times negative 3i is negative 9i squared. Okay? Notice that these two terms cancel out. And remember that I squared represents negative 1. So negative 9 times negative 1 becomes positive 9. And negative 15 times negative 1 becomes positive 15. So if we combine like terms, we have 5 plus 15 is 20. And negative 15i plus 5i is negative